We got to talk about the silver pullback. And what is that going to mean for Bitcoin? We have Bitcoin showing classic signs of 10 a.m. manipulation. And I have Drew here with me today. Drew, I heard a rumor there's a level for Bitcoin that you're looking at. And then after that, I'm going to go into why we're about to have a major rally. There's a huge signal that is flashing. But Drew, can you tell me about this secret Drew basement level that you're seeing for Bitcoin's price?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, it's been pretty simple for me. I have had this buy pressure box highlighted for quite some time on Bitcoin, and this is where like I've had to do shorts and longs in this environment, but this is my basic setup right now that's been working since we were kind of building out this range is when I noticed all this buy volume. It's at $87,000 right now, and we are sitting like right above it. So I am monitoring this. I'm not quite ready to do a short. Where I'm starting to feel short is if we lose the main volume node at 84,000. That's where I'm starting to look for a fast ride downtown. But as it sits right now, I've seen it bounce off this shelf quite a bit of times. It gets risky though, DZ, because the more, like you said, the more times you knock on this, you're likely to fall through. But
Yes,
we are riding on this right now. It's just a game of liquidations back and forth. And, I'm watching for that liquidation around like 87 or 86.9 roughly right now. So,
all right. Well, thanks for sharing that screen. Now, Drew's going to be in the background. We might call on him when the Link Marines put out the signal. But looking at Bitcoin here, let me throw up the chart. You can see, add this to the stage, classic manipulation right here. This candle, 10:01 a.m. And then you start seeing all the whipsaw action for Bitcoin. We go back here. Drew highlighted that level right below us. So currently just kind of trading in that range. But I'm going to talk about, I think I have 4 or 5 signals that this is going to be an epic bull run. And so we're going to get right into it. But first, I do want to highlight, we have the new newsletter being created, is being worked on. We have Kelly in the background. He's creating some systems here. And so we're going to have a nice little newsletter coming out pretty soon. And I've been reading this. I've been checking it out. It's getting better and better every single day. We're not quite ready to deploy it. It's like an AI. Once we let it out of this box, man, it's going to change things. So we're still holding off on that. But let me throw you a couple memes, and we're going to talk about the bottom signals. Who did this? Was it you? Are you in the Disco fam who made this meme here? Gold, S&P 500, silver, crypto. What are you doing there? I got 2 more for you. We got crypto bros turning into silver bros right before our eyes. They're taking the wrong pill, everybody. They need to take that orange pill instead. Is the red one, the blue. They're all the wrong ones there. Crypto bros. Last one here. This is from Kobe. I think it's pretty funny. The cool thing about trading metals is you don't need to worry about copper emu is going to steal the mind share from copper while you're asleep. They're not making new commodities on Pump Fun every few seconds. Of course, he's talking about, you get a new meme. Doge? Well, how about Doge Elon Mars? How about Baby Doge? How about Baby Doge AI? You'll find a narrative. It will get diluted and diluted and diluted. Not going to happen with commodities there. Well, let's talk about some of these bottom signals. But before I get into that, Drew, I'm going to throw you one question here. Before I get into the evidence, what are your thoughts on we are about to have a major rally for Bitcoin?
I mean, in general, my mind's at silver and gold has produced a lot of profits, and Bitcoin has really, really been, flat/down while those major bags have moved to the upside. I imagine there's going to be a degree of profits shifting into the crypto sector, particularly Bitcoin. But, we're still dealing with a lot of uncertainty with the government shutdown and all these new things on the horizon. But I am, kind of excited that Bitcoin has held up at above the $80,000 level, even with all the macro chaos going on. That's something I'm keeping in mind looking at that chart. It's like, we have had so much major bearish headlines come out over the last few weeks. And there's a lot of scared action on gold and silver. People are kind of moving into those in a big, big way. But my mind would have thought that we would have lost the $80,000 level with the Nvidia, China stuff, and with all this craziness going on. But I'm keeping that in my mind, right? It seems to be a little bit buoyant right now.
All right. Well, thanks for that analysis. Now let's talk about these bottom signals, these bull run indicators. I got several. It's not just one, folks. And we're going to have one for Ethereum as well. Bitcoin's most accurate bullish signal hints at a Bitcoin price reversal. What are these accurate signals that we're talking about? We're seeing actual multiple signals predicting a massive price upswing. Bitcoin surged 600% last time we saw this confirmation. And it's going to be a 7x. Now, what is this confirmation we're talking about? It's a bullish cross involving the stochastic RSI of basically US and China's government bonds against Bitcoin. So comparing bonds versus Bitcoin, and we're looking at the US and Chinese bonds against Bitcoin in particular. This is Bitcoin's most accurate bull run signal, has only occurred 4 other times in the past, leading to massive price rallies. Last time we saw this, October 20, that's where we got the 600% rally. You see right here, it's going to be the stochastic RSI. It's basically going to be a shorter term moving average and a longer term moving average. When the shorter term moving average crosses over the longer term moving average on the stochastic RSI, this relative strength index, that is when you're seeing rallies. So we're not predicting bottoms, we're predicting rallies. We're predicting that breakout. We're predicting that fourth phase of the Bitcoin bull run that we haven't seen. Basically, it looks like we got phase 1, bear market, phase 2, accumulation, phase 3, we're stuck in accumulation, and we've yet to see the parabola. We've yet to see that nice move to the upside. That's indicator number 1. Number 2, Matthew Hyland. I do like Matthew Hyland. He foresees a possible breakout based on DXY. The DXY is now below 96. Pulled this chart up myself here. Here we go. Now that's the stochastic RSI. That's the chart right there. Very, very, like I said, very bullish, not a bottom signal, a upward trajectory signal, a parabola signal. Signal number 2, DXY. We predicted a bear flag breakdown. I don't know when we did this. Might have been a week ago, might have been a month ago here, but this is the US dollar index. It's comparing the dollar to other currencies, a basket of currencies, or 6 other ones, primarily the euro. Now, this is signaling a breakdown on the weekly chart. This is signaling a weakened dollar. When the dollar is weak, it requires more dollars to buy Bitcoin. And so a weak dollar is good for Bitcoin's price. However, a weak dollar might be bad for the US economy when you just kind of look at the broad picture here. But let's zoom out a little bit. Let's actually zoom out to last time Trump was in office. Trump was inaugurated. Let's not talk about the January in 21, but let's talk about the January in 2017. In January 2017, you can see this is basically exactly right here when Trump took office. Maybe it's a week or two later. But let's just go from this moment right here until the DXY finally got some support. 468 days. Really, if you go from the peak there, we're pushing 500 days, 490 days. We'll just round up and say 500 days before the DXY might recover. This is just looking at Trump's last time in office for that first year, for that first 500 days. Let's measure. What do we have for 500 days? 500 days is going to be June. And so maybe you can run it from there and say it's going to be late May instead. But we might have more pain for the DXY. So the DXY, it's a lot of predictions. Oh, it's going to reverse. This is just a bearish indicator. This is just technically bearish. I'm not saying it's going to play out completely, but that would put the DXY at 84. And when you zoom out, that is very doable. That's very possible. It is not out of the realm of possibility there. And it does look like we kind of lost this support there. So also not great. We did retreat to the scene of the crime and then got rejected. And now we're starting to break out of this bear flag there. So that's indicator number 2. Number 3, it's just gold and silver. And we're going to do a little bit more of a deep dive on that a little bit later. So number 3 is just going to be the precious metals pumping. And so we got a lot of indicators suggesting that Bitcoin should have a nice, massive rally. About to talk about ETH here. Here's Bark Meta talking about the dollar. I don't know if I would agree with this. Any moment now, the dollar, the US dollar is going to completely fail. 99% of people have no idea what is coming. I wouldn't go so far as completely fail. I've seen, people, Ray Dalio calling for, all right, we're into the 6th phase of the new world order, the changing world order. The America is done. What we're seeing in the North in Minneapolis, that's the signs of the pre-Civil War. And all of that is true. All of that is true. But I'm not saying we're going to be having wheelbarrows of cash to buy a loaf of bread just yet, folks. Now, that's when you're talking about $1 million Bitcoin. That's going to be a multi-year process, a decade plus. I don't think it's going to happen in the next 2 seasons here. All right, let's talk about ETH here. Also, massive indicator for ETH. ETH price gained 200%, so it tripled. ETH tripled last time this signal flashed. It's a familiar macroeconomic setup that preceded the major rally in 2021. Psychedelic highlighted a recurring pattern that links global liquidity, Russell 2000, and ETH potential breakout. So it's looking at global liquidity, also just a way of measuring all the dollars in the system. We see the same thing, with I think we actually have a chart here showing some liquidity. So liquidity in the system is going to be good, especially for ETH. And then we compare that to what I would call the altcoin index of the stock market. This is going to be the mid to small size stocks out there, a little above a penny stock, but maybe you could kind of think of it in that type of frame. This is the best corollary we have for altcoins for alt season is the Russell 2000. And then third, we have the ETH potential breakout. So the sequence follows 3 steps: a breakout in liquidity, followed by a breakout in the Russell 2000, and then a delayed breakout in ETH. The current monthly chart, the same order, has once again reappeared. In 21, the major rally happened 119 days after the Russell 2000 confirmed its breakout. In that sense, what is our current trajectory? March 2026. And so we're just seeing a lot of signs that things might start having a very, very good following months. And then I did talk about global liquidity, try to pull the picture. It's right here. I wish I bought Bitcoin years ago. Well, when you look at the Bitcoin gold ratio with global liquidity as the oscillator, so basically also measuring it against cash floating around in the system, well, today it might be even a better time to accumulate. We haven't seen Bitcoin this undervalued relative to liquidity, relative to gold in history. So this is also very bullish, or at least in the past 10 years. I think when Bitcoin's $1, yeah, that's going to be a different story there. So that's what we got. Drew, I don't know if I could toss you in while we read a couple chats here if you want to pop in. Multiple signs that the bottom is behind us. Are you drinking the Kool-Aid yet?
Well, we've spent a historic level of time in extreme fear. That's what's kind of, another part of this, holding up price above 80K for the last 2 weeks, even with all the craziness going on around the world, and then spending as long as we have in the kind of extreme fear zone. The price to produce is sitting at like $74,000 for Bitcoin. I have Tether and buy orders, even down to $65,000. It's just starting as this drags on and we start getting into the guts of this year, it makes you really question how much more pressure or downward, action we can have on this asset. Like, it's been an extreme fear. Altcoins are reset to extremely low levels. There is a lot of charts that wash down to that 10-10 liquidity event, and now they're trying to find their bottom there. So
what do you think of the criticism though that is saying never trust someone with a mullet coming from Jewelry Affairs?
Yeah, so the mullet, it's for some taste, some dislike it. It is what it is. But yeah, I've been really analyzing this stuff truly for myself because I only like buying local bottoms. And fear and greed wise, this would be that moment where we hammer in, right? So it's an interesting time. Yeah, there's a lot of people that want 50,000, and the fact that I want 60 some odd $1,000 Bitcoin, there's a lot of people feeling that way. There's a lot of reasons for hedge fund managers to never give us the entry points we want in Bitcoin, right? It's you get crypto at the price you deserve. So
that is right. Scenario. I'm glad you brought up the banks, Drew. That takes me to my next story here. Another bullish sign: 60% of top U.S. banks are geared up for Bitcoin, according to River. Now, this is this is from Brian Armstrong. He's at Davos, rubbing elbows with the world's most powerful people. This is what he heard. One CEO of a top 10 global bank told me crypto is their number one priority and they view it as existential. Now, this is anecdotal. This is just going to be one of the top 10 banks, but it isn't just that. When you look at the top 10 banks, most of them have leaned into crypto. The number 1 bank has, the number 3 bank has, and the number 4 bank has. Of course, the number 2 bank is linked with a certain powerful family, so it makes their non-existence here in the crypto space even more intriguing, if you will. 3 out of the big 4 are on the list here. Let's see. So UBS is also gearing up. Among the big four, JP Morgan Chase announced they're considering adding crypto trading. Number 3, Wells Fargo. They're offering service like Bitcoin-backed loans to institutional clients. And then number 4, Citigroup, looking to explore institutional crypto custody services. As long as the CEO's son doesn't have access. That's right. You got to keep the kids away from the private keys. Do not let that happen again if you're going to lean into that Citigroup. Now, I almost want to go into the Bank of America. The family starts with an R. I don't know if it's worth it, Drew. Drew, I should just not mention that, right?
No, don't mention it. I think most of the chat gets what, and you did the biggest thing about this is that JP Morgan and Chase is developing their own blockchain and also trying to like work its way into the existing setup. I am very curious to see if the staking is still a sticking point on this crypto market structure bill. That's kind of the biggest question in my mind when I'm looking at this. So we're kind of staying on the wings to see that. But JP Morgan Chase is one of the most powerful. I mean, there's a whole historical context to them and how big of a chunk of American dollar they actually are. But they're building
very
on
powerful, very powerful forces is what we're talking about here. And if you want to learn more, read about Council for Inclusive Capitalism. Fun thread to pull on. That's all I'll say. That's all you get. Let's move on back to crypto here. We have another signal suggesting bottom is behind us. I saw someone say, well, you didn't talk about the crashes before. Maybe the crash to 74 was that crash. Maybe just the quickness and the pullback from 126. Maybe that was the crash. Maybe the worst of the pain is behind us. Now, of course, there are some worrying signs. 100-week moving average to the 200-week moving average. I covered that in last night's video, so go watch that video if you want to learn more. But Bitcoin miners cutting unprofitable production. This is just another metric pointing at a rebound. But this one, a little bit of a mixed bag, if I'm going to be honest. Oftentimes, we go a little bit lower right after the fact. A little bit lower right after, a little bit lower right after, a little bit lower, like literally immediately after. And then this one actually was a bottom. We did not revisit that. If you're wondering what the recent capitulation is, a lot of the American Bitcoin mining rigs have been shut down during this winter storm. And so that is what we're seeing there. Thoughts on another leg down for ETH. Wick missed the order to $33. I'll give you a little short term. Let's give you a little short term here. Let's look at ETH. ETH on the daily, complete breakdown. We do have a target. It's going to be, the first target is going to be this liquidity zone, which is going to be this purple area. I would say if you want to know, I don't know what's going to do the next 10 minutes, but I could look at the 4-hour. We do have just textbook bullish divs. The textbook DZ bull div here. That is bullish. That is bullish. However, you could say, well, it was bullish and it has played out. It's played out completely, perhaps. I don't know if a 6% move is going to complete the move there. It does look like the RSI is continuing to move up, showing continued strength. It is the relative strength index after all. And if you go to the 1 hour, you are seeing that RSI start to cool off. So, yeah, mixed bag. I am leaning a little bit juice. There's a little bit of gas left in this tank. The money flow is heading down on the 4-hour. We do got a green dot on the 1 hour there. So big shout out to Marcus Cypher there. So ETH is going to be a mixed bag. In the immediate, though, it does potentially, it looks like it's wrecking traders. That's the mode that it's in right now. So just be very, very careful out there. All right, let's get back into crypto here. So we got the hash rate. We got all these signs showing Bitcoin's nearing a bottom. But there's also this. Silver. Imagine being bearish. Silver at extreme euphoria. Bitcoin, historical support when you price it. Right now, it's about, I want to say it's about 800 ounces of silver for every one Bitcoin. It was trading in 3,200. It's going to be a 4x. So Bitcoin is way down against silver. It's down to roughly 75%. The rotation, however, will be biblical. And I love this assessment right here from Jesse Myers. I don't know if I've seen this guy before. Head of Bitcoin strategy. I'll wait. I'll wait for the follow. He looks too much like Vlad Tenev, who I am certain is a vampire, but Vlad Tenev, CEO of Robinhood. Since the start of 2025, 11 months ago, silver up almost 300%. Gold up about 100%. Bitcoin down 10%. Precious metals investors are dancing on Bitcoin's grave. They're doing a little jig. They're saying, ha, 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 ha. You thought your orange coin was good. You should have bought my orange metal instead. And we're regretting it. We don't feel great. But they're dancing on the grave that always ends well. Always ends well for Bitcoin holders. Sometimes you got to wait a month. Sometimes you got to wait 18 months. But it always ends in your favor. Remember, the odds are ever in your favor. I can't whistle, but I would do the Mockingjay if I could, folks. So that's my 2 cents there. Drew, should I have not danced?
No, I think that's pretty perfect. And you're saying something really true. There's a lot of people that are understandably excited about gold and silver's price. It took decades for, a few 100% gains, right? And so in that meantime, inflation has been much more aggressive.
Yeah.
So that is something that we got to take in mind. And I do think that there's going to be some profit taking. This is trust being lost in the fiat currencies. Gold and silver are the oldest and biggest, they have the biggest advantage when it comes to this scenario we're in. But Bitcoin is right behind it. It's sleepy. It's like the sleeping dragon that I think is going to get a little bit crazy.
It reminds me of like MC Hammer's background dancers. Right now, just going back and forth. It's about to be hammer time.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're anyone that hasn't been, there the 2021 or previous real blow off tops in crypto, this is why we are so locked into this, because you can change your life in one cycle with the correct timing. And I was able to pull it off right after, 2020's events. Studied it for multiple cycles. Things get heavy quick.
Should I should I follow back MC Hammer?
Of course. I vote
chat,
hard.
Yes or no? Let me know. I will abide by your rules. I will abide by the chat. Disco fam X, if you're watching, wherever you're watching, if you're on X, hit us with that repost. And if you're on YouTube, let me know here. Let's see. Should I do it? How'd that hammer time go? I love that song. I was a child, but I remember riding around in my mother's 80s Honda, maybe an Accord, maybe a Civic. It was stick shift, driving in I-10 traffic in Houston when she went to her court mandated parole meetings. Why am I even sharing all this? Anyways, it's true story, by the way. I was like 5 or something. Let's see. All right. There you go. MC Hammer. I follow MC Hammer. Fun story. He followed me during the Cardano NFT craze, and he was exploring launching NFTs in like 21 or 22. I don't think he did, but I'll give him the follow back. All right, stop. Hit that like. All right, hit that like button, everybody. Now back to Bitcoin, back to crypto here. Bitcoin trend line. I'm probably going to have to do a deep dive on this. I don't want to just kind of read some articles here. Bitcoin trend line cross mimics insane Bitcoin versus silver breakdown. This is, let's see. Then we got this right here. I do want to look at this. We just got a bearish cross with the 21 or I have the 20 pulled up. I haven't pulled up the 21. I was just kind of getting this out real quick. The 20 week is going below the 50 week. This is not great. This historically gives us bear markets. We're seeing this right now for Bitcoin. I do want to do a little bit to turn on those notifications. I'm going to look into this, put out an upload. And so I did find a little bit of hopium here. And so if you go last time, we saw it. Terrible, just terrible. Very, very, very bad, obviously, here. But there was some glimmers of hope. And so if you see right here, we got another breakdown. Boom, big swing to the downside. We dropped 50%. Goes 7K to 3,500, basically. And then after, nice little pump, 2019, you hear Ben Cowan saying 2019, feeling a lot like what we're seeing right here in 2026. We did get a bearish crossover. The red went below the orange right here, but it was only short-lived. And if you notice, the red went below after the crash. So if you just go straight down, that means you bought this candle right here. That means you caught a week after the bottom. That isn't the only time. Now, I'll be honest. Most of the time, it's ass. It is bad. It is a bear market. But there's one other time. One other time it wasn't terrible. Or the red fell below the orange right here. Goes straight down. You bought this candle right here. Boom. You're in profit. You get a little pullback, but either way, I don't think the people are upset if they missed the $2 Bitcoin instead of buying at $7. Like, wish I would have bought Bitcoin at $3 instead of $7. Now my life's not changed. So we have seen it's not a complete hellscape scenario, but it's only been not terrible twice. And so we're crossing our fingers and hoping that this breakdown of this 20-week moving average below the 50-week moving average looks like this, instead of this bear market, that bear market, or that bear market. It is a do or die moment here. But back to metals, I am going to do a little bit of a deep dive on silver as well, Bitcoin to silver ratio. I was just looking at that chart. I did do a short on it, and just simply type in Bitcoin/silver. It will Silvray. It's like the paper company Sabre. If you go to the weekly here, it shows you right here. Let me do silver price and Bitcoin. Sorry, BTC. Also, I think you got to type in Bitcoin too. There we go. Yeah, silver Bitcoin ratio. We're pretty close to where we topped here. Pretty close. And let me go back to Bitcoin into silver so I can count in the ounces here. So this is going to be counting the ounces. 1 Bitcoin equals about 800 ounces of silver. 800. This is really close to this. It's kind of just the inverse of what we were just looking at here. But also, we are below the 2017 peak. And so Bitcoin, you could buy more silver with your Bitcoin almost a decade ago. And so this does look like a sharp pullback. But also, one other thing I did want to show, silver has very quick corrections. And so this is a 40% drawdown in 3 weeks, 53% drawdown in 3 months. We're looking at like 2012, 29, or 2009. And the Hunt brothers, yeah, I remember I said something about Lehman. The Hunt brothers, this was a 77% pullback in 3 months. And so silver can behave like a token that FTX has or Binance has. This can behave like a Binance-held altcoin. And so this silver can dump a lot faster than people are expecting here. So I'm just gonna do some research on Bitcoin and silver's relationship. Look at the silver pullbacks. I mean, Tom Lee, also predicted it's not a new thought that precious metals, there's going to be a profit. Some of this profit is going to roll into Bitcoin. But what I don't think people are doing is the actual analysis. When you look at a silver, what does a silver pullback look like, and what will that look like in relation to Bitcoin? I'm seeing some signs of some interesting data. So stay tuned for that. Turn on those notifications, folks. All right, now back to silver. Whale opens. Silver is going to keep pumping, though. Don't expect this to reverse as long as maniacs are doing this. $36 million short with 25x leverage. I think it was Mike Alfred. He publicly posted a silver short. Silver pumps. The next day he posts, all right, yeah, I'm 1.7 million in losses, but I'm still holding. As long as these people keep shorting silver with a lot of leverage, a lot of capital, silver will pump and it will wreck those traders. Bitcoin, silver, not that dissimilar when you think about it. And then if you look, Tether turning into the master central bank here. Now, we did report they bought more gold than anybody in Q3, but we're still waiting for Q4 numbers. And we're hearing data that they're going to be a top 3 at least. So Tether might have 2 quarters in a row buying more gold than China, buying more gold than America, than India, than anybody. Now, sticking on metals here, the U.S. did say we're going full-blown communist. I'm not kidding. No, I'm joking. But they're investing in the private sector with public tax money, and they are set to invest $1.6 billion in a rare earth company. I don't really mind this when there's a military angle, when there's a domestic security angle. I don't mind it, so I'm just kind of being a little bit cheeky here. But they're getting a 10% stake of this company. This stock was front ran by this news. Trump wants U.S. more rare earth minerals. I looked at the 1.2 million views on this now. I looked at the futures. The futures also were crazy. These futures are up way more than 46%. These futures are up hundreds and hundreds of percent in a matter of like 2 or 3 trading days. Now, the question is, who are the insiders? Drew, maybe I'll bring you up here. Who are the insiders here? Is this Barron? Is this Eric Trump Jr.? Or is this USA rare earth employees, bankers handling the deal?
Oh gosh. I mean, if I had to the first and foremost is probably a set of lawmakers or congressmen and women that were the ones that led this one up. I
So
think
call
Congress,
Pelosi.
yeah, the congressmen and women seem to front run the entire markets. So,
That's a good point. Let me ask you this question. Who's more scared of an insider trading charge and getting thrown in jail like Martha Stewart, a politician or an employee here?
right, absolutely, employees, in my opinion, right?
Yeah,
A
I'd be like, hey,
politician,
look, you got another administration potentially coming in 3 years.
right,
They're going to throw the book at you if you do something like this.
right.
I mean, I wouldn't risk jail time. I mean, look at Martha Stewart. Did she come out? Yeah. Was she doing push-ups? Not really. She lost aesthetics. Her cortisol was spiking. Her
Yeah. Congress, they know they're above the law. This Nancy has led the way and really painted the picture. They can do no wrong. They can have obvious connection. They can have obvious knowledge. They can make millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars off that knowledge. She's paved the way. She walked so the rest of them could run. Easy. That's what
All
I
right,
feel
Drew,
like.
this you have to hear. Now we're going to talk about copper. I saw some people talking about not coppers in Minneapolis. Are they guarding the Hilton or not? No, copper, the precious metal. Thank you. Hit that sub, hit that like button, folks. This is an angle, maybe I should say, for the basement. That's how crazy this is. Last time copper prices shot up, some enterprising chap decided to reopen an old copper mine in Union. First, he had to get 6 people to shovel out the bat guano out of the mine shaft. They got sick and 3 died of a SARS-like virus. Virologists rushed to investigate. It was the first such case of virus infected people directly from bats. They found SARS-like viruses in 9 of samples of the bat guano from the mine. They took them 1,000 miles north to a lab in China. I don't want to say that word. A few later, they defrosted one of the samples to sequence, study. I don't think weaponize is fair, but alter is fair. They altered some of the genes in this virus. The next year, a pandemic began in the city. Turns out the virus they collected from the mine shaft was the closest relative of the time of the COVID-19 SARS-like virus that caused the pandemic. Copper prices are now rising again.
Oh my God. That is absolutely insane. And first of all, please help us not get wiped off the internet by liking and sharing this video from what DZ just covered there. That's absolutely insane, DZ. That is absolutely insane. Not a good signal, right? But I think your thesis on copper, your general thesis on copper price, I think is pretty good, man. So I will give you
Beanie with the suit is wild. Look, I'm just trying to channel my inner Tim cast, my Tim Pool era.
I thought I was tuned into that. I mean, honestly,
Hey, I might start skateboarding in the parking lot, Drew. Don't tempt me with a good time there. All right. Well, let's just interesting. Now, speaking of viruses, let's talk about Vax. AVAX, that is. Oh, hit that like button for that one. AVAX spot ETF debuted with 0 net inflows. Had a little volume, but no inflows. So I don't know. Was this like a wash trading? So they're going to expand their ETF lineup with this Avalanche product. AVAX, this is sobering for the AVAX holders. AVAX had a market cap of 5.1 billion, was trading at $11 recently. The token's now down 92% from November 2021 of $150, now down 69% over the past 12 months, according to CoinGecko. So I mean, I don't know if 92 could be 95 or 99, but maybe we're getting close to an AVAX bottom.
I'm hoping so. I was looking at that chart and it's brutal, right? And this is kind of what I was highlighting. Like a lot of these altcoins have reset to insanely low levels. And, I'm thankful that just take profits when the profits are there. I will say that, right? We get in early, we buy. I've always made a practice to protect myself, and I'm really glad that I did. Looking at the AVAX chart right now, I am snooping around, like seeing if the bottom is going to hold up on where it's at, because there's a lot of things that, like, think about this. Silver is almost like an altcoin in terms of the metals market or metals investors. The silver holders are used to extreme volatility and holding a lot of value.
You saw that chart, 77% decline in like 3 months. That's worse than Bitcoin.
Absolutely. And
it's like 2014 Bitcoin or something.
So maybe the silver profits have more of a flow into things other than Bitcoin because those holders are used to those 20-30% swings.
Oh my God, man. You want to talk about some swings, dude. Staking rate is good on AVAX. That's why it's down, because people are getting the tokens. You want to talk about wild swings? My Palladium trade. So I closed gold. People were happy about it. People love the trade. And speaking of trades, we are in a trade. We're in the AVE long. It is in the Discord. I jumped in a little late. The price had gone down, so I actually got a better entry by being a couple minutes late there. So I do want to give a shout out to the Discord. We do have a Discord link down below if you want to check it out, folks. So learn more down below if you want to get your trading journey on. But my Palladium, so we took silver profits. I was checking in the Discord 12:25 p.m. So gold, I got out at the perfect time. My Palladium ETF, each ETF was worth $1,300. It has now fallen to $590. This has cut in half in 24 hours. You want to talk about wild swings, because precious metals spiked around lunchtime and then they all started to drop. We can go the silver, we can go like the 1 hour. And so I sold gold 12:30. That's like literally right here. It's right here. I sold the top, but I held on to Palladium. Now we're way up. We got Palladium like $2. Man, that would have been nice there. Now I did put in a new trade in the Discord. I don't know if I'll share it. Oil. That's all I'm going to say. But in the Discord, I have the date, the price, if it's a call or a put, my thesis. So it is all in DZ trades. Now it's time for some Ripple news. 3 days in a row, we get an XRP story. 3 days in a row, all stories were fugazi. They were worth nothing. We have broken the streak. We have a real XRP story, a story where I read the headline and I'm as excited by the time I finish the article. Ripple partnering with the Saudi bank unit on blockchain payments and custody. Is an agreement to study potential applications of blockchain technology. So there's a memo of understanding here, and it's going to focus on cross-border payments, digital asset custody, asset tokenization, or the real-world asset play. These efforts are intended to support their Vision 2030 as their long-term strategy to modernize their economy, get off a oil-based economy, turn into more of a finance and tourism-based economy, and also wanting to uproot their financial infrastructure while minimizing dependence on their oil exports. And it's a real bank, $130 billion in assets as of the middle of last year. And so they signed a pretty good deal yesterday. It was a $20,000 exposure on some company's balance sheet. I think they're a freaking landscaping company around the corner or something. It wasn't anything real. It wasn't actually, but this is a real deal for XRP. So if you are an XRP fan, smash that like button. This is good news. Good news. That's going to take us from good news to bad news. XRP chart time. Now we don't know that. We don't want to assume. Let's look here. So, oh wow, I don't even remember. This was charted a while ago, and look how beautifully this played out. I did not get a long in there. Should have been. Oh my God, that would have been such a good long. That was so good. Such a good entry. Yeah, this isn't any kind of crazy chart I came up with or anything. I was just looking at the liquidity levels, looking where we wick to. This is obviously strong support. This is just going to be the $2 psychological level. So you could say there's a lot more confluence on the bottom line relative to the top line here. But XRP still trading within the range. But let's measure this parallel channel. What do we have on the parallel channel? Are we flirting with a breakout? It's looking fairly decent. Oh, yeah, we're getting there, chat. We're getting there. We're not quite there. I expect, if things stay bullish for Bitcoin primarily, we do go up. We revisit the scene of the crime, quote Barry Soloway, and then a scam wick above, because people love to hate on XRP, so they're going to short right at $2. I don't know if people are very greedy. It doesn't have to go as high. It's going to go high enough to liquidate them, and then maybe that. So that is my XRP prediction there. It has been at least 3 days since I've mentioned Cardano, so do not get mad at me for pulling up Cardano charts. Woo! Look at that 4 hour. That 4 hour is looking great until you look at that candle. Gosh darn, that's a nasty looking candle there. But we did have pretty close to a bullish engulfing candle here. Could say bullish engulfing, but rejected That's not really kind of line. This is just a potential head and shoulders, but I will say it does look like the head. Oh, we haven't invalidated. The right shoulder still higher than the head. So we're not quite at the point where we're going to give up on the structure, but I mean, this is pretty freaking close if I'm just going to be honest here. Now, I don't know if it matters all that much. If the shoulder, I guess technically it is a break of the structure there, but we're getting also similar vibes with the parallel channel here.
Talking about breaking out or, fighting back. We are starting to wake up a little bit, DZ. Since you've been talking, Bitcoin and the altcoins don't look too bad right now. Look at that candle. So I mean,
look at 8 is 10 minute. We're still in the trade. We're still in the AVE trade. So good job if you jumped in on that one in the Discord. Going to Bitcoin here. I mean, let's really get nice, hot, and bothered and moist here. Looking great. We do see that just nice 10 a.m. manipulation, and then we haven't been that low since 10:01 a.m. And so when people say, "Oh God, you can't blame everything on Wall Street," well, I can for 10 to 10:30 a.m. or 9:45 to 10:45 a.m. I certainly can point my finger at Wall Street here, but we did sweep this high. Let's go to the 5-minute. All right, so we have swept this high. This is going to be what they would call a liquidity zone. Now, do I still have a liquidation heat map? I do, but it's on AVE because I was just checking the AVE trade. So let's go to Bitcoin here, and then we can kind of look at some of these levels. All right, so we're clearing the majority of liquidations above us. Now, this does say, like if we clear all this, might push down. It looks like right at $87,000, like 86,911. So basically, you just kind of say 87 plus maybe a little wick right there. And I would say the next liquid or area to clear is going to be this 88,900. And that's probably going to be right here, 88,800, 88,900 there. So yeah, we got a little bit of liquidations above us. Let's go to the 24-hour. Should increase here above us. Potential all the way up, flirting with 90, right below 90. And then if we go out, let's just say 1 week. Oh yeah, a lot of liquidity above us. And then the next is going to be the range established in January 23rd. So established a few days ago. So yeah, Bitcoin showing some signs. Markets are showing some signs. The Discord quant gave us this trade. Didn't give us Bitcoin, but gave us AVE. Let's check in on AVE. Woo! And that is why it spotted the winner. Spotted the coin passing these previous highs. I might go ahead and start taking some profits. Drew, that's all I got for today. Now you're going to be working with one of the hotter projects. I can actually pull it up here.
Yeah, I mean, it's a project that's been along for a really long time.
Is it MYX, right?
No, it's XYO.
XYO. Don't listen to me.
Yeah, and it's geolocation data. It's something that this company behind it's been around since like 2012, but it goes in like autonomous drones and smart cities and stuff like that. So I want to learn a little bit about them. Because I'm in the mood to learn about things that have reasonable utility, and it was kind of interesting when I was looking at the all-time chart because
Looks like it's a higher low.
It is. It's a macro higher low, and like that is how I'm having to look at a lot of these altcoins. Right? Jeez, Louise.
There's some whales. Some whales are buying this.
Oh,
that's signs that a whale is buying. Not guaranteed. Maybe it's just someone like trying to mess with our emotions here, but typically most of the time you see this on the charts. Someone put in a fat buy order suggesting a whale accumulating.
Yeah, it's just something that, like, I know drone infrastructure is going to keep growing. I know that these smart cities, like, look what's being proposed in the Middle East right now. I mean, this smart city narrative is not dead, and it's got.
That's actually not a terrible chart. That's actually a good chart.
It's kind of interesting, right? When you look at this thing. So, I'm interested to find out. I'm in the mood to learn about things that I think have a chance to keep serving the focused use case. I am in that mood because if this is the macro bottom and we start pumping from here, it's, a way for institutions that are in control of this market to leave a lot of people behind that had lower entry point requests and not repeat essentially what they're expecting in a 4-year cycle rinse and repeat fashion, right? Because we've only dropped by like 34% from the previous general all-time high of Bitcoin. And if the loss point and the kind of restructuring of the markets happens the same way it has been, this is a general bottoming zone that we're in right now. So I'm in the mood to snoop around, see what things are, still cooking, still growing in networks, and I'm
Okay, yeah,
interested
this
in
guy
this
talking
stuff.
to Scott Melker. So good job, good job. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing this one. That one's going to be a good one, folks. Make sure you hit the like button on the way out. I'm going to do a big missive on silver, Miss Silver, if you will. I got to look at the pullbacks. I got to look at its relation with Bitcoin. I think there's something signaling a nice capital rotation, and just kind of talk about if you need to take profits on your silver, because those pullbacks, I did not expect it to look like an altcoin, maybe even a shit coin. That's how bad those pullbacks were. And so hit the like button on the way out. Make sure you are subscribed. We do have some super chats. Let me make sure I don't miss this. The best copper ETF. Should I buy physical cop? So I'll walk you through it real quick. I have been putting all this in the Discord, so you could just join the Discord. But my latest play is this one right here. Let me pull it up. Okay, I clicked on it. There you go. CPER. This is the newer one. We're starting a position, so it's going to be a July expiry. We're only up 10%. We only got a small exposure. We also have some March expiry. So we have March expiry, July expiry, $50. Right now it's $36. So you're betting on it hitting 50 in what are we looking at? 5-6 months here. And if you're wondering, can it? Well, I think so. I think so. You really got to look at more of the copper price. I'm in 3 Discords with chat. DZ Drop Zone. DZ Drop Zone. You're going to see the oil. Which particular option? I think OSU? No. Oh, what was it? Oil futures. I got it. Let's see here. I'm sitting here asking about just the links between particular families and stuff. Now, I'll give it USO. I was so close. OSU. It's USO. And United States Oil Fund. And I've just been trading some options on this one here. So that is, if you're wondering, that's what we're doing there with the options. So I want to go ahead and answer those super chats. So I appreciate everybody hanging out. I don't see it. Does he mean DZ? Maybe you got to do the thing where you sign in. Just sign in with an exchange. We don't charge you anything. Just sign in with a UID from an exchange. And then that gives you access to all the things. We're not going to try to gatekeep you there. Bring DZ on so we can get proper unhinged. You don't want to hear me talk about those families. Hey, I was in the basement years ago, back in the Demandi dictatorship.
Yep. Good times too.
Great times. All right, folks, hit that like button on the way out. I will see you guys in the future, and you and your precious metal plays at the top. Shout out to
We just wanted to take a quick second to shout out our sponsor, Arculus. They are a cold storage hardware wallet, helps you secure all of your digital assets for the future. Just tap this thing to the back of your phone and boom, you're in. We wouldn't be able to do this without them, but also wouldn't be able to do this without you guys, the Disco fam. You've supported us a lot over the years. If you want to support the channel now, just use the code DC20. It gets you 20% off this card. It's the #1 way you can support this channel going forward. Thank you for your support. We'll see you.